Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I wanted to talk about taking risks in my painting, and you'll know what I mean towards the end of the video. I wanted to paint my Pathos plant that had been starting to get pretty long. I really liked how it looked draping over the side table that it was sitting on, so I really wanted to capture that effect by having the painting take up the entire height of the paper. So I begin by drawing the outline of the leaves and the vines that connect each leaf, trying to get each leaf to be smaller and smaller as they go towards the bottom of the page. I went with a yellow underpainting here, mainly because the highlights of the leaves themselves are yellow, so once I add the green on top, I leave areas of yellow visible for the highlights. Here I'm putting down the first layer of green, which is a really light green. As the painting progresses, I add darker and darker layers of green, and you can see what I was talking about earlier, leaving those spaces of yellow available for the highlights. Here is where I add the next layer of a darker green, and I felt like I had a hard time making these leaves look natural because I was doing these really clean transitions between a darker green and a lighter green, whereas when you look at real leaves, it's a lot more, I guess you can say, random. You kind of see dark areas dispersed throughout the leaf and then lighter areas. There's not like this really clean transition between one and the other. Here's where I try to add a little bit of detail, because in those highlights there's kind of these patches of dark green, but it's a little hit or miss. They don't really look, again, very natural. You'll also notice throughout the rest of this painting that I try to add those lines between that go from the middle of the leaf to the edge of the leaf, but I think I made the contrast in how dark those lines are to the rest of the leaf way too high, to where again it just doesn't look very natural. It's a really dark line on a very light leaf, and it doesn't really match the reference photo. So for the rest of the painting of the actual leaves themselves, I'm just trying to add some water to kind of make those darker areas and lighter areas mix better, and adding some details to the leaves. Here I'm going to speed up the video even more so I can get to what I really wanted to talk about, which is taking risk in my art. Once the leaves were done, I wanted to add a background because I just didn't like all this empty space on the paper. I was going for a forest background, so I started off by putting a layer of green around the leaves, and at this point everything was still going pretty well. But you're about to notice a pretty big cut in the video because I originally was just going to stop the video after I had this layer of green down and not post the rest of it, because I felt like what I did next ruined the painting a little bit, at least initially. But I thought about it, and I think it's really important for artists to take risks. It's the only way that we'll get better, and so I didn't want to hide that from you guys, so I ended up including the end of the video. But you'll notice that there's a chunk of this next clip that's going to be missing. So I was trying to put these dark areas down to create the effect of some darker foliage behind the leaves, but it just turned into a big mess. So I ended up just taking a sponge and just mixing all of it in. And at that point, I thought I'd messed up the painting itself. But on one hand, I thought it was kind of cool to have these softer lines. And on the other hand, again, I wanted to emphasize how important it is, at least in my opinion, to take risks as an artist. And so I wanted to highlight the decision that I made at the end, because I didn't have a reference. It just was something that came to my mind. And so did it make the painting better? Did it make it worse? I really don't know. But I didn't want to just hide it by not including it in the video. And that's it. If you guys enjoyed the painting and what I had to talk about today, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks.